In this phase, we don't try to climb back in that little cocoon of who we used to be. By that time, once the cat's out of the bag, we know what our own and other partners' weaknesses are. We know the areas that we agree and disagree on. We've probably been through a few battles with power struggle. We've probably experienced a certain amount of erosion. We can't just jump back to the innocence and untroubled joy of phase one, okay? That phase one relationship is over. And it's important that we recognize that. It's never going to be like that exactly in the same way again. But that's okay, because we get to move on to something that's even more fulfilling, even more sustainable, even more resilient, where we learn to know and love and cherish and respect each other for who we really are. Now, it feels delicious and wonderful and fulfilling to be in that kind of relationship where we're in love and everything feels happy and wonderful. But I can tell you from sweet experience, it is even better to have the freedom to be loved for exactly who you really are, and to learn to love another person for exactly who they are, even if they're different from you, and they are going to be different from you, even if they want things that are different than what you want, which they're going to, even if the direction that they see as being appropriate is different than the way that you would do things. In those cases, we can learn to synergize, to compromise, to coordinate, to blend our various strengths, to build something better together than we ever could apart. The conscious marriage, the mature love experience is delicious beyond words. I really believe that that is part of the fruit that Lehi saw on that tree. That pure love, the love of God. God doesn't just love us when we agree with him and do everything he wants us to do. He loves us because he loves us. And he commands us to learn to love each other the same way. I'm convinced that is more true of our marriage relationships than any other relationships, to really learn to authentically love the actual person, not just the little cocoon version of the person that we first met. Now, interestingly, those three phases in the development of a relationship match very closely to 3 stages of normal human development we've talked about a little bit before. First of all, that early baby stage of dependence, where we have to rely on others for our well-being. We literally can't even hold up our own heads in the beginning, okay? Secondly, independence, which we think about as the terrible twos, where we learn to stand on our own little feet and say no and mine, and basically we develop our independence as a person. Finally, that beautiful stage, my favorite, of interdependence, where a child doesn't really need to hold your hand anymore to stay upright, but they choose to hold your hand to walk along with you. That's a beautiful stage. Well, these stages of relationship we've talked about are pretty similar. That first in-love stage is another dependency stage. We rely on each other. We need each other. We crave each other's presence. That second stage, the power struggle, is basically an independence building phase. It's absolutely necessary for our development. And then finally, the icing on the cake, the happy part, if we know how to get to it, is that interdependent phase of mature love. So here's what I want to tell you. If your relationship currently feels like this, frozen over, distant, cold, icy, lifeless, hopeless, please remember that after every winter,